The moment we've all been waiting for is finally here, Moana 2. This time, Moana and Maui are taking us on an even more thrilling adventure. 3 years after saving her island, Moana gets a call from her ancestors that pushes her to team up with Maui and some unexpected friends. They set off to explore the most dangerous and forgotten parts of the ocean, where they will encounter uncharted waters, ancient mysteries, and a mysterious dark evil that will challenge her bravery and spirit like never before. This is how Moana's journey begins. It all starts with the brave Moana, who excitedly runs around a mysterious island. Her love for discovering new places and connecting people with the ocean, just like her legendary ancestors, drives her forward. While exploring, she accidentally steps on a little crab that was resting, but luckily, it's not a big deal. Her loyal pig, who looks pretty tired from all the excitement, is with her. Moana shows her bravery and determination by carrying him on her back as she climbs a steep hill. After a tough climb, she finally reaches the top, where her curious rooster is waiting for her. From up high, Moana gazes at the stunning view before her. With a conch shell trumpet in her hand, she blows a whistle into the breeze, hoping to hear from the people on faraway islands. But her call gets lost in the quiet. Still, Moana never loses hope. She believes that someday, someone will respond to her. Suddenly, she hears a noise that seems like an answer, but it's just her playful rooster who has discovered an old, decorated boat with strange drawings on it. Moana feels a rush of excitement because she realizes this find might prove that other people exist. With a spark of enthusiasm, she tells her friends they need to hurry back home, where everyone is waiting for them. As they make their way back, Moana is filled with joy and anticipation for what lies ahead. When they get closer to her island, she starts singing with a lovely spirit, and the villagers, led by her parents, join in a joyful song that brings everyone together. Among them is Moni, a young dreamer who adores the tales of the islands and is Moana and Maui's biggest fan. Moni dreams of meeting the famous Maui one day. When Moana finally steps onto the ground, her father greets her with pride and curiosity, eager to hear all about her adventure. With a mix of excitement and determination, she reveals the mysterious boat, convinced it proves there are other people out there, even though she still doesn't know how to find them. She promises she won't stop until she discovers a way to reach them. Just then, her younger sister Saimia appears, looking both reproachful and affectionate, saying it feels like Moana has been gone for ages, even though it was only 3 days. Moana reassures her, saying it was just a short trip. Later, Moana takes her little sister to the sacred place of their ancestors, a spot filled with history and magic where Moana learned about her people's traditions. As they explore, Moana shares her past mission to return Tefeti's heart, an epic journey that changed her life forever. Curious, her sister asks how long it took, and Moana smiles, saying it was just a few weeks. To her sister, that sounds like forever, and she can't help but show her excitement. Moana then begins to tell an even more amazing story about her ancestor, Taudai Veza, who dreamed of uniting all the ocean's inhabitants. Unfortunately, his dream was interrupted by the actions of dark evil angels. Now, it's up to Moana to carry on that mission. However, her sister innocently suggests that maybe Maui should handle it while Moana stays on the island with her. Moana, being brave, explains that Maui has his own responsibilities as a brave sprite, and this is his destiny. The scene shifts to Maui, who is on a risky adventure searching for the portal to the legendary island of Motu Fito. He encounters Matangi, an astral guardian who guards the entrance to the Motu Fito portal. Matangi, with his usual arrogance, demands that Maui be allowed to pass. However, Matangi insists that Maui must first meet Moana, the young woman who once worked with him. Maui lies, claiming he only used Moana to retrieve his beloved magic hook and that even his rooster was silly. Then he changes his story, saying the real issue is Nalo, an evil sprite who has trapped Motu Fetu in a dark and dangerous storm. He insists that Moana is not involved, but Matangi disagrees. He reminds Maui that he made Moana an incredible navigator, and now she is tied to this mission. Meanwhile, back on Moana's island, she is joyfully teaching dance moves to her people, strengthening their bond. After her lesson, her father, Tue, approaches her with a smile and tells her that tonight will be special. Moana will be honored with the title of the last great navigator of her family, a title given only to the most visionary. He tells her that her time has come to show how far she can lead her people. As night falls, the whole island gathers to celebrate this important occasion under the stars and the flames of a traditional bonfire. Moana proudly and emotionally accepts the title of Tauda, a title that hasn't been given in thousands of years. The ceremony begins to celebrate her as the true leader of the island, guided by the wisdom of her ancestors. Everything feels serious and respectful as Moana takes a sacred oath to protect her people and keep them united. But suddenly, the ceremony takes a wild turn. Moana is whisked away to the ocean, right in the middle of a raging storm. The waves crash and the sky turns dark, creating chaos all around her. As she struggles against the storm, she falls into the water. When she comes back up, she finds herself on her island again, but everything looks different. It's empty and desolate, with no sign of her people. In this eerie moment, she hears the voice of an ancestor in her mind, telling her that this is a possible future if she doesn't find the legendary island of Motu Fito and connect all the islands. The ancestor reminds her that returning the heart of Tefiti was just the start. Now, she must calm the storm created by Motu Fetu. To do this, she needs to follow the fire in the sky, which will lead her to an island far beyond what her ancestors ever reached. Her mission is not just to save herself, but to bring everyone back together and restore the balance that has been lost. Moana returns to the ceremony, and everything seems normal, but deep down, she knows the vision was a warning she must take seriously. She tells her parents and the townspeople that she has to go on a new adventure to find Motu Fetu. The excited young man named Moni, who knows all the legends, jumps in and shares the ancient tale. He explains that long ago, all the ocean's people were connected through the waters, but an evil sprite named Nalo, who was jealous of their unity, cursed Motu Fetu, trapping it in a never-ending storm. This curse split the people apart and left each island to fend for itself. Now, as the new Taudai Moana, she has to complete the mission that her ancestors couldn't finish. The island is enchanted, and a sprite who wants to step onto its land is waiting to break the curse and bring everyone back together. Even though her father is worried about her safety, he believes in her bravery and strength, just like the rest of the town. At that moment, everyone looks up at the sky and sees a fire streaking across it, a clear sign that it's time to take action. Filled with hope and emotion, Moana sings a beautiful song that tells her story. It speaks of how the new journey have called her, how hard it is to say goodbye to her family, and the strength she feels knowing she has a big mission to accomplish. At the end of her song, she sees her grandmother's spirit beside her, guiding her. The old woman reminds her that even if the path ahead is unclear, her choices will define who she is. At dawn, Moana gathers her people and bravely declares that she will search for the island of Motu Fito. She is ready to face the storm and reconnect with the ocean, promising to return once her mission is done. Then she sings again, showing her determination to overcome any challenges. Her mother, worried about the dangers, insists that Moana should take a crew with her because going alone would be too risky. Although Moana feels a bit unsure at first, but her mom encourages her by pointing out that even the rooster made it through his last adventure with friends by his side. Eventually, Moana agrees to the idea, realizing that having support will help her tackle the challenges ahead. Just then, her friend Lodo shows up, excitedly asking Moana to join the crew for this amazing journey. Moana knows they'll need more than just fish for their trip, so she decides to ask a farmer for a variety of food. At the same time, she practices how to ask Maui for help. But before she can, Moni insists on joining her, claiming his knowledge of legends will be crucial for their mission. Moana thinks about needing help and agrees to let Moni come along. Meanwhile, little Saimia, with her childlike innocence, begs Moana to take her too. Moana gently explains that Saimia is too young to face the ocean's dangers, but she reassures her by showing how beautiful the sea is and reminding her that the ocean connects everyone, no matter how far apart they are. To comfort Saimia, Moana gives her a starfish, a symbol of home, so she can carry a piece of their love with her. With this heartfelt gesture, Moana sets off on her mission with her crew. Meanwhile, Maui finds himself stuck in a tricky trap, frustrated because he can't use his magic hook. Some toads try to help him, but it doesn't work. His tattoos, which show his thoughts, tell him that Moana will come to rescue him, but he brushes off the idea, preferring to handle his problems alone. Then, the antagonist Matangi appears and made fun of Maui's predicament, offering to help him out. Even though Maui secretly wished to see Moana again, he stayed focused on his own troubles. Meanwhile, Moana was dealing with her own issues. Some of her crew were scared of the ocean, and one of them didn't even know how to swim. With her patience and leadership, Moana calmed their fears and encouraged them to relax and enjoy the journey. Slowly, excitement started to build among the group, even though one farmer remained doubtful. They pressed on, but soon they hit a snag. The canoe began to drift because of a strong current. In the distance, they thought they saw land, but as they got closer, they realized it was something much more dangerous. Kakamora, tiny coconut warriors, attacked them fiercely. Just when they thought they had escaped, they encountered an even bigger threat, a giant clam that swallowed everything in its way. Showing her courage, Moana steered the canoe to avoid disaster and managed to hide her crew. But while trying to save the rooster from some sleepy darts, some hit her, leaving her momentarily out of action. In the chaos, the Kakamora captured Moana and her team, taking them to their home. There, Kakamora explained their story. Their island was in the same ocean as Motu Fido, but when Nalo split the sea to weaken the ocean people, they became cut off from each other. Kakamora tried to reconnect their islands, but the giant clam blocked their way, making them live in fear and isolation. They worry that if they don't confront the clam, they will be separated forever. The Kakamora suggest a deal. They have a toxin that can defeat the clam, but they won't help unless Moana and her team agree to certain terms. If they manage to defeat the clam, the Kakamora will guide them to Motu Fido. Moana accepts the challenge and promises to honor the agreement, showing respect to the Kakamora. After saying their goodbyes, Moana and her crew prepare to face the giant clam with the toxin. As they enter the clam, a strong current pulls them in, and unexpectedly, the Kakamora cut the rope that connected them to the outside, trapping Moana and her friends inside. Inside the clam, chaos erupts as they struggle to stay together, and they lose the spear with the toxin. Luckily, Lodo had brought 3 extra spears just in case, but they end up lost too. In the midst of the turmoil, the crew members get separated by the currents. Moana's friends find themselves in a dark, unfamiliar place. The oldest member of the crew thinks he spots one of the Kakamora and, feeling brave, decides to confront it. To his surprise, he actually comes face to face with a giant monster, which turns out to be the hiding spot of the warrior Maui, who is trying to break free from his prison. With the help of Moni, who is Moana's biggest fan, they manage to rescue Maui and retrieve his famous magic hook. When Maui meets Moana's friends, a pig falls from above, and he jokingly says it will be his lunch. Just moments later, the rooster appears, and Maui quips that it will be his dinner. But when he looks closer, he realizes the rooster belongs to Moana, which means she is nearby, so he decides to search for her.
Bootsnack, where's Moana?
Meanwhile, Moana wakes up feeling confused, thinking she sees her little sister who scolds her, dramatically claiming that everyone in town will say they hate her forever. However, she soon realizes it's just a bat playing tricks on her. At that moment, Matangi shows up, introducing herself as the guardian of the Forgotten Ocean. She tells Moana that she knows the way to Motu Feta Island, but first, she traps Moana in a magical sphere and explains that to open the portal, Moana must perform a sacred dance. Just then, Moana sees Maui arriving and feels excited, gathering her strength to complete the dance. As expected, She successfully opens the portal, proving she is the chosen one for her crew. Before they go through, Moana asks Matangi to join them, but she explains that her magic keeps her bound to that place. With a mix of sadness, passion, and hope, Matangi reminds Moana that if she can defeat Nalo, they might meet again someday. Matangi leaves Moana with an important lesson. Sometimes, to move forward, you have to learn to let go or even get lost. As Moana and her crew continue their adventure, Matangi turns to his loyal bat and worries that if Nalo finds out he helped her escape, they could all be in serious trouble. Maui starts to doubt their mission, speaking seriously and warning Moana that what lies ahead is incredibly dangerous, something even he thinks is impossible. He scolds her, reminding her that he had already told her not to go on this journey. He insists that no one can survive the terrors of Motu Fido. But Moana, determined to save her people, argues that reaching Motu Fido is not just a task, it's her destiny. Even though Maui tells her she won't have his help in this part of the ocean, she stays hopeful and looks to the ocean for a sign. Suddenly, she thinks she sees her grandmother, but it turns out to be a creepy welcome gift from Nalo, a magical sea creature meant to block their way. In the chaos, Maui uses his cleverness and transforms into a small shark to sneak into the water and distract the creature. A wild scene unfolds, and just when Moana is about to be in big trouble, the crew's teamwork and bravery help them escape safely. However, Moana feels guilty as she spots the remains of an old canoe from her ancestors floating nearby. She starts to think deeply and wonders if leaving the island was a mistake, feeling like she put her friends in danger, and begins to think about giving up. But Maui, noticing her sadness, won't let her stay down. With his charm and confidence, he begins to sing a motivating song. He reminds her of who she is and all the amazing things she has done. He tells her that her name is a symbol of hope for their people and that her bravery has even inspired him. Together, they are unstoppable. Maui reassures her that she is the greatest navigator ever, capable of overcoming any challenge, no matter how tough it seems. His words touch Moana's heart, and her crew, including Moni, who has recovered from her scary experience, rallies around her with renewed strength. They all remind her that everyone has an important part to play in their mission. United by their goal, the crew finds their motivation to keep going. Maui jokes about how it's been a while since she raised an island, but now is the time to do it. As they near Motu Fetu, a huge storm appears on the horizon. Moana shows her bravery and leadership by taking charge of the ship and skillfully navigating through the massive waves. Meanwhile, Maui uses his magical hook to transform into different creatures to tackle the storm, becoming a powerful albatross and other animals to face the tornadoes that seem to target them. In a tense moment, one of the tornadoes hits Maui, causing him to fall into the boat. Moana then realizes something important. Nalo's storm is specifically targeting humans and completely overlooks Maui when he's not in his human form. Quick on her feet, Moana comes up with a plan and persuades Maui to use this to their advantage. She explains that they need to lure the storm toward them, which will help him complete his part of the mission. Understanding the need for sacrifice, Maui nods and transforms into a magnificent giant falcon before taking off. He assures them he will return later, as he needs their support for the final part of the mission. With a hopeful farewell, Maui soars into the storm, leaving Moana and her crew ready to tackle the next challenge with bravery and resolve. The storm rages on, but Moana and her team stand firm, determined to face it. They work together, each playing an important role, skillfully dodging the tornadoes. However, as the storm intensifies, the situation becomes dire. Moana spots Maui, who has reached Motu Fido and is trying to lift the island with his magical hook. But Nalo, the evil sprite, isn't making it easy. From the dark clouds, he sends down powerful lightning bolts aimed at Maui. Despite the overwhelming force, Maui shows his strength and courage, knowing that Moana must touch the island to unlock its magic and fulfill her destiny. Things take a turn for the worse when a massive lightning strike hits Maui, making him stagger and causing his tattoos, which represent his connection to the magics, to fade momentarily. Just as Moana calls for help to lift the canoe, a huge explosion from the lightning sends everyone flying into the water, scattering the crew in chaos. Although shocked, Moana tries her best to help her friends find safety amidst the turmoil. In the midst of the chaos, she loses the starfish her little sister gave her, which makes her doubt her choice to leave her island. Her crew feels the same way, thinking they might not make it. But then, Moana remembers the important words that have always inspired her. She gathers her courage and tells everyone they need to find Maui and not give up. Without hesitating, she jumps into the sea and swims with all her might toward the island, ignoring the dangers around her. When she reaches the ocean floor, she discovers a special rock, the heart of the island. With one last effort, she touches the rock, but just then, a lightning bolt strikes her, knocking her out. As the storm starts to calm, a strange peace fills the air. Maui realizes something has changed and rushes to find Moana, discovering her unconscious underwater. In desperation, he brings her to the surface and sings a heartfelt song, pleading for her to wake up. Suddenly, Moana's ancestors appear, surrounding her with a warm, bright energy. The spirits of those who had passed on before join in a hopeful song, led by her grandmother, creating a magical moment that connects the past and present. As the magic flows through the water, Moana opens her eyes, filled with new strength. When she wakes up, she sees her ancestors, Maui, and her grandmother. Although Maui is safe, his tattoos have vanished, but soon they start to reappear, telling the story of his bravery in this new adventure, and his magical hook returns as well, restored by their bond and the ocean. Moana's grandmother shares one last piece of wisdom. They will always be together, and Moana will never feel alone as long as she remembers who she is. As a symbol of her achievements, Moana gets a glowing tattoo on her arm and a special item that restores her powers. With Maui's help, they free the island and Moana completes the ritual to break Nalo's curse. As she walks through the newly rebuilt island, they discover a map showing many other islands, including Motunui and Casa. Suddenly, people from all over start arriving, excited to reunite and create a new community. Later, the villagers come to Moana's island with a special gift for Saimia, a telescope from Motu Fetu, so she can watch her sister return triumphantly. Saimia, filled with joy, runs to Moana and they embrace tightly. Moana's parents also hug her, filled with pride and gratitude for all she has accomplished. The film ends with a big celebration where the whole town sings joyfully, marking the start of a new era of unity. And that's how the movie wraps up. Don't forget to check out other videos and subscribe. Hit the bell to get notified about our latest uploads. See you next time.